Hey everybody, welcome back to BigRedEDC. Well, I am definitely throwing my hat in the ring for my Mount Rushmore of knives. This video originated with Wayne's Sharp World. I will leave a link to Wayne's video down in the description of the video. But he came up with some really interesting facts about presidents that were really pretty cool. And he specifically, it's an open tag, so anybody can do it. But he specifically tagged me and asked what my Mount Rushmore of knives would be. So this is my response. I never back away from a good tag on a video, so why not? So here we go, guys. How I went with this, because I have a lot of knives that could fit, well, at least a couple of these categories. But I went with my right here, right now selection. So that's what we're going to do with it. So you see there, we have the four presidents of Mount Rushmore. You have George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. Well, the word that he came up to describe George Washington, our first president of these United States of America, was toughness. And I tell you what, the facts that he read off about George Washington, wow. Yeah, he was tough. The diseases he endured, the near misses during the war, I mean, my goodness. So yes, he's tough. So right now, I would have to say that my toughest knife, right here, right now, is this guy. Now, why would I say this very budget Camillus Sailor's knife would be my toughest knife? Well, because this knife gets used a lot. It goes to work with me every single day, and not necessarily for the blade, but for this, the Marlin spike. Now, I've talked about it before on the channel. I'm a crane rigger, and you know what? I'm actually going to do a video that actually describes what I'm about to tell you in a little bit more detail. So you're going to see a little bit more about this knife. But I use this Marlin spike as a shackle key. And what I mean by shackle key is sometimes when we're using shackles at work, they become tight. They get over tightened. And the shackle has a head on the side and it has a hole in it. And I insert the Marlin spike into the shackle and pry it open. It's one of the best tools out there for the job. Now, do I use it to cut rope and all that other good stuff? And by the way, that's all going to be covered in the video about this knife. But yes, this knife is my yeah, I own cold steels and I own a lot of tough knives, but right now, this guy, for everything that it goes through, probably has to be my toughest. So, plus you don't want to get your finger caught in there, because man, that snaps. So, George Washington, tough. My Camillus Sailor's knife, tough. Now, this one I found kind of interesting. Thomas Jefferson. Apparently, Thomas Jefferson was very crucial in ice cream becoming popular in the United States, in the colonies. Okay, very, very interesting. So the word he came up to describe Thomas Jefferson, or the knife that goes along with Thomas Jefferson, would be sweet. Your sweetest knife. Well, I tell you what, I have a couple of knives that can fit this category, but one of them's going to fit another category, so we'll just go with this. This right here, yeah, it's definitely one of my sweetest knives. Yep, you've seen this knife many times on the channel, and you know what? You're probably going to see it many more, because that's just the way it is. But this is my one-off Monterey Bay Knives MBK EZC. It's the anniversary knife, as I call it. My wife gave it to me for a 30th anniversary, And the thing that makes it pretty darn sweet, well, I guess I need to keep this open, is it's a one-off, but, oh, I always forget which side it is. Oh, it's this side. And I know it's going to be hard to see, but if you can kind of make out the lettering, it is actually signed by Ray Laconico on the inside of the scale. So yes, to me, that is just pretty darn sweet. So that is definitely my sweetest knife. Now, Mr. Theodore Roosevelt was very pivotal in the Panama Canal being built. And he came up with your favorite import knife. Because while the Panama Canal came very crucial to the United States importing goods from around the world. So that's a pretty good fit. I like it. So my favorite import. Now I tell you what, guys, I have a lot of import knives, and I have a lot of import knives that I really, really like. So what I did with this one is I went with the last import knife in my collection that really, really excited me. And that would be this, the Civivi Fracture. I really liked the looks of it before it came out, and once I got my hands on one, that just solidified how much I really, really do like this knife. There's the Tanto and the drop point. Y'all know me, I much prefer the drop point version, but it is extremely comfortable in hand. I love the overall profile. I love the slimness. I love the elongated drop point blade. It's got that little ramp on it. I know a lot of people don't really care for the hole in the blade. Doesn't bother me a bit. I was really excited for it to come out, and I'm still really, really digging the Civivi Fracture. So right now, I'm going to say this one is my favorite import in my collection, of course. There's been a couple after that I've been really, really excited about, but they're not in my collection. So the Civivi Fracture, it wins that category. And last but not least, this knife definitely could have been in the sweetest knife category and represented Mr. Thomas Jefferson, but it is going to represent Mr. Abraham Lincoln. Now, I did not know this either, but it kind of surprised me a little bit, but I thought it was a pretty cool fact. Abraham Lincoln was the only president to hold a patent. The only sitting president to ever hold a patent. And when you think about it, everything that was going on during that time, you know, basically from George Washington's time to Abraham Lincoln's time, there was a lot of inventions, patents created. I mean, obviously Benjamin Franklin, not a president, but the patents that man held, holy cow. But he was never a president. Abraham Lincoln was the only president to hold a patent. So, Wayne chose your favorite knife with your favorite patent in your collection. I don't have a lot of knives that have the fancy patents and stuff. I don't have a lot of knives in my collection right now. But one of my favorite patents, and it's a since expired patent, but it was once held. It's been copied many times, and that's the Axis lock. I really, really enjoy the Axis lock. And my favorite knife with my favorite patent, yep, you've seen this knife many times as well, and you're going to see it again, would be the Mini Crooked River. Casey Underwood Art Edition. Obviously, a lot of you know this was a gift from one of the most generous guys in the community, Mr. Zach from Zach Stuff. And this, it's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful knife. I will show it off every chance I get. This one and the anniversary knife, yes. I show them off all the time because I love them. And they absolutely mean the world to me. So, my favorite knife with my favorite patent, the Axis lock, would definitely have to be this specific mini Crooked River. So there you go, guys. That is my Mount Rushmore of knives. Thomas Jefferson, toughness, the Camillus sailor's knife. Did I say Thomas Jefferson? I meant George Washington. I meant George Washington. George Washington, toughness, Camillus sailor's knife. There we go. I didn't say the other one. Thomas Jefferson, the sweetest knife in my collection would be the EZC, the one-off EZC, signed by Mr. Ray Laconico, and a beautiful gift from my wife. Definitely my sweetest knife. My favorite import, the Civivi Fracture. It's the last import in my collection that I was really excited about. And my favorite knife with my favorite patent representing Mr. Abraham Lincoln would be the Casey Underwood artwork edition of the mini Crooked River with the Axis lock. So there you go, guys. That is my Mount Rushmore of knives. I hope you enjoyed it. Wayne, I hope you enjoyed my response. Thank you very much for the tag. Thank you very much for the idea for the video. It was a good one, man. Thank you guys for watching. And remember to like, subscribe, leave me a comment. You know I love talking to you. And how about you leave me a comment of your Mount Rushmore of knives? George Washington, tough. Thomas Jefferson, sweet. Theodore Roosevelt, favorite import. And Abraham Lincoln, your favorite knife with your favorite patent. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.